Modern Liberals who seem to be spending your tax dollars in unusual ways.
Yeah, the ones who've ensured that the party has embraced net zero, which is going to help them out so much of the coming election.
Lucky they're doing.
Be great.
Net zero is helping the battler, isn't it?
Well, that's what it's for.
Yes,
I mean,
that's what the Liberal Party's there.
Hewson, I think he posted this image just yesterday. The Morrison government continues to back solar projects for community organisations. Incredible to see it firsthand. I think he's even posted a picture of this.
There is
at
a picture.
Brighton Yacht Club today. We're getting on with building those impoverished yachtsmen from Brighton. I mean, you can just imagine how much they need the
wealthiest electorate. The wealthiest electorate. They've done it in Double Bay as well. There's Wilson and Dave Sharma. How out of touch are these clowns? Seriously, the wealthiest two electorates in Australia, Double Bay and Brighton Bay, and they are spending your money, your tax dollars that you've earned to put solar panels, which are bought from China. Okay, they're putting them on the roof of the yacht clubs. Sorry, I thought yacht clubs were about sailing, but anyway, they've got a lot of electricity there.
Than
the bar. You can't have a bar, can you, without a fridge?
We can't have our parties at the yacht club.
They're spending your money subsidising solar panels. Okay, and then you subsidise their electricity through the payment, through the higher bills that you, the working people of Australia, pay for the wealthiest electorate in Australia. How can this be the Liberal Party of Robert Menzies? This is insanity. These people are so out of touch.
Well, Rowan, it also has to do with, how the Liberals are now trying to shore up these very green Liberal seats, such as Wentworth, where Dave Sharma is against.
Goldstein.
And, you want to talk about, Dave Sharma and Tim Wilson, fine, but you really need to be talking, and everybody needs to be having a very hard look at these so-called independents who are running on a campaign that would very much require much higher carbon taxes, all sorts of things that are really, really much more bonkers, and they could have potentially sway in Parliament after the next election. So it's a real dilemma.
Just roll back through that, because there's a good article in the Australian. Andrew Hurst has come out and made the point that all the Allegra Spender, Zali Steggles, there's others.
They're all deep green.
They are hardcore green Labor. That's fine, but they pretend to be, I used to be a Liberal. Simon Holmes Accord is another one. I used to be in the Liberal. And Simon Holmes Accord is a multimillionaire, is funding these characters, doesn't have the guts to stand for election himself, obviously. They fund all these characters, and they are hardcore, hard leftists selling a hard agenda, and the Liberal parties have fallen into the trap of playing along. Look, we put some solar panels on the yacht club. Hooray!
Well, this is a great dilemma.
They're both electorates, Goldstein and Wentworth, where they're facing challenges from these independents.
So fight them on the issues, fight them on conviction, tell them that. Point out how stupid their ideology is. Don't play along to it.
Well, the thing is that in an electorate like Wentworth, in an electorate like Goldstein, you have a lot of people who are very deeply invested, quite literally invested in
that is the key word. It's all about renewables investments. It's all about investments that these people are caring about. That's what they're looking at.
But they have completely vacated the fight. Let's be honest here. They have not put up a counter argument. And by signing up to net zero, they're basically saying, we believe in this stuff, but hey, Labor believes in it even more. So if you really care about this issue, who are you going to vote for? Coalition or Labor?
And they're not fighting. Sorry, but the thing is that by fighting on these beachheads, and they are actually quite literally beachheads over those electorates, but they are also ignoring the base, the heartland of the party, and the heartland of the Liberal Party has moved steadily west, and it has moved out of the blue ribbon, high-earning electorates, which have turned more and more green, and by not going and saying we are going to do things like ditch the Australian curriculum, which is teaching your kids garbage, by not doing things like fighting on these cultural issues, which Scott Morrison, I think, has incorrectly said there's not a job in it, mate. Well, I'm sorry, but there are votes in it. They are losing those seats because we saw in the last election, they came home on a lot of those cultural issues.
It would be much better in the long term and in the medium term for the coalition to give up their seats.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
And it would be better for the country because you're right, just like in America and the UK here, the demographics have shifted for the different parties. And by trying to hold on to these formerly blue ribbon Liberal seats, they're completely abandoning millions of people in the outer suburbs who share their values. People from migrant communities, people who are aspirational and want a better future for their kids. People from all sorts of backgrounds who absolutely detest the far left lunacy that Labor's embraced, particularly in cultural issues, which the Liberal Party, like idiots, just do not touch. I mean, that's where their advantage is. That's when they're in the 70, 80%. Instead of, they fight Labor continuously on Labor's terms, and then they're surprised they don't do too well.
But what is it about these electorates? They keep electing characters like Wentworth is the classic. Before Sharma, you had Turnbull, you had John Hewson, you have all these characters who are not Liberals or certainly not Conservatives. And they represent these electorates, which are supposedly, blue ribbon electorates.
You know what?
But they don't have the guts to stand up in front of the people and say, OK, we're going to take net zero to the election. They don't. They do it behind the scenes. They scurry around. They change it all. They go off to Glasgow and say, oh, do you want to net zero? Instead of standing up in front of the electorate saying, we've changed our mind, like John Howard did with the GST. We're now, here's the policy, vote for it or don't.
But the thing is,
because they would lose if they did.
Is that the coalition needs to have a wide spectrum of candidates. It cannot only be so it's fine if you want to have moderate candidates in the tent. John Howard managed that very well.
By being honest.
But you've got to be honest about it, but you've got to give your conservative base something to hang on to. And a lot of conservative voters I talk to, they're like, well, what do we have? You're not fighting the ABC. You're not fighting education stuff. You're not fighting for nuclear power. You're not fighting for this, that, or the other thing. So, $1 billion for the race.
You got to dance with the one that brung you.
Exactly. Well done, Rita. You got to dance with the one that brung you. Ronald Reagan.